Hey guys, it's Danny. Alrighty, today we are going to talk about repotting orchids in semi-hydroponics. Many of you asked me to actually make a video in which I show you how I repot, but you know me, things always have to be explained. So today I'm going to talk about the process, how I determine which orchid will go into semi-hydro and some other things, and obviously make a repotting. So thank you for suggesting. I thought it's a brilliant idea to make my repottings interesting again, though briefly. But we need to start with the beginning, and the first thing I ask myself is whether it's worth it to convert this orchid into semi-hydro. So one of the reasons why I use semi-hydro at the moment, at the same time as my old setup, is the ease of preparation. Leca is nowhere as dusty as Ceramis is, and right now I simply cannot go through the process of rinsing Ceramis. 1 year has been enough. So being that I figured out how to maintain things pretty even, I'm happy with the setup. Of course, my first thought would be semi-hydro over the old setup, but it doesn't really apply to all orchids. If I have a new orchid that has not been repotted yet, or if I have a pretty new orchid that I just switched, but it didn't have time to produce roots, then it will go into semi-hydro. And this is the case of this dendrobium. It is the latest dendrobium that I acquired. As you can see, we just have some starting roots, but nothing inside the pot. So with this one, yeah, it was worth converting, and I know that in the long term it will do pretty great. However, if we take this orchid, which is a Cattleya and obviously pretty established in its pot already, and if you remember when we repotted it, it was very pot bound, in this case it's not really worth to make the switch because the orchid is obviously doing perfectly fine. It is not a new orchid, and switching it over might mean some damaged roots. Do I really want to set it back purposely? Maybe not right now. So with this one, obviously, I'm not thinking of switching because it will eventually do more harm than good. Other cases include orchids that I personally believe will do a little bit better in semi-hydro due to the moisture factor, such as this bulbophyllum. And also instances such as these where already the plant is out of her pot because I knocked it over. I cannot believe how this still happens, but it still does. So in this case, yet again, I might consider switching it since I'm here, because gathering the medium from the floor means I need to disinfect it. I'm not gonna put it back as it is. Do I really want to go through the trouble? I might not actually want to go. So other than that, if the orchids are doing perfectly fine and I have no problem with the setup, there is really no need to switch, but mainly with the new orchids, it's just easier for me to switch to prepare the leca, and since I kind of figured out how to take care of it and how to make it work, then why not? I will be repotting in semi-hydro. Second thing, preparing the pot. Traditionally, you would choose a taller pot just so you make room for that reservoir, but in certain climates it might not work all that well. In my climate, it simply cannot maintain moisture at the top. Therefore, the pots that I'm using are not tall. They're actually very similar to normal pots, proportion-wise at least, while the reservoir, depending on the height of the pot, might be lower or higher. It is never halfway up, but maybe a quarter of the way up works pretty well for me. And again, usually in semi-hydroponics, clear pots are used, but because of the algae factor, sometimes you have those translucent pots. In my collection, I am using the transparent pots just so we can see the root development, of course, but you will also see white pots because I have so many white pots right now, and it is so hard sometimes to find clear, transparent pots actually, that I am perfectly fine with the white pots as well. Also, the white pots that I'm using are not opaque. They're not 100% opaque, they're kind of translucent. Light still comes through them, and when I have a water level, I can definitely see that water level pretty well. Other than that, I'm not attracted to other colors, so you'll most probably not see all sorts of colors in my collection, but the white translucent kind of ones and the clear ones will be definitely used. Now regarding the drainage holes, well, there's a bit of variety. Most semi-hydroponic setups only have them on one side. Why? Because when you water, you would, let's say, go to the sink or over a bucket, you'd place the holes in the direction of the sink, water, and then the flow of water will just go in the sink or in the bucket. However, I have holes on both sides. And this is because I absolutely do not intend to water my orchids at the sink or above a bucket. I have a different idea, which I already started to implement. My orchids will be raised on a sort of a humidity tray, but actually it's more of a drainage tray, if you will. So I will water from the above, and then the excess water will come inside the tray and will give me actually some extra humidity, which is not bad. But in order for me to make sure that the water doesn't just jump and falls somewhere outside of the tray, I need more drainage holes to limit the flow of water. Now, of course, even with multiple drainage holes, you can have a big flow of water if the quantity of water you add at the top is really fast and really big. But if you know already how I water, you know I have my spray pump, so the flow of water at the top is not really big. Therefore, the flow of water at the bottom will not be super big either, but I do need both sides to have holes. And I also use 2 holes, not 1, for the very same reason. Other reasons include ventilation purposes, but it's not necessarily the main thing. So that is why my pots have drainage holes on both sides, just to reduce the flow of water when it comes out of the pot. So today we are repotting one of those orchids that, in my opinion, struggled. This is one of the Fusarium survivors, the front bulb. And as you can see, the roots are really not doing all that great. They are very sensitive. The root tips seem to just die off because, I don't know, reasons. Maybe she really doesn't like the fact that Ceramus dries out so much. So I just want to try semi-hydro with her and see if it makes any difference. So I prepared a transparent pot because I do want to check on the roots and see if they're growing better than they used to. And I also have my semi-hydro medium, which is consisting only of leca. Because my pot is not tall, it really doesn't matter the size of the leca that I'm putting here. Water will be available to the very top layer, so I'm free to use whatever size I want. So let's apply some layers of leca. And now it's time to see how the orchid will fit. I think we can adjust the height as we go. Very similar to a normal repotting, all we need to do is place the leca around the orchid. And here we are, my orchid is potted up. Now it's time to water it, so we need to go to the sink for this. Now for the first watering, I don't really care where the water goes. I just want to flush the pot really well. So now we're just gonna let this drain very well, and let's go make the humidity tray, or rather the drainage tray. Now in this case, since I already have some leca from the old medium, I'm just going to pick the leca from this medium and put it in the existing drainage tray that I already have until I fill it up, and that's gonna be my drainage tray. And that is actually pretty much it. Now, because this orchid didn't have a lot of roots, she was pretty unstable in the pot, so a stake was used. But orchids that already have a root system don't necessarily need it. So from now on, I'm gonna water this orchid like I would the other orchids. Every time I water it though, it's gonna be like a flush. Water will flow out, it will fill in the humidity or drainage tray, and everything will be more humid. Because with the addition of plastic pots, unlike last year, the humidity actually dropped in my greenhouse. So the trays will actually be very beneficial because there's gonna be a large number of trays. So alrighty guys, this has been the repotting, and this is what I'm up to this week. I am in a mood to repot and to do a lot of greenhouse stuff for reasons that I will talk more about in the outro. So I'm sorry I didn't post anything yesterday, but I'll make it up this week. I'll post an extra day this week. How about that? So thank you all so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. Let me know how your orchids are doing in semi-hydroponics. I'm really excited about trying out this setup, and I do like to hear success stories as well. And if you have bad experiences with semi-hydro, do share them as well, so we can all learn from them. Alrighty, so you know the drill. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, a share would be wonderful, and if you'd like to stay up to date and watch more orchid videos from me, simply subscribe to my channel. I post on a regular basis, and also don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. And with that said, I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye! Okay, so following the little resolution that I did last week when a lot of the orchids and Hoyas came down and they made a mess, I went into this mood of, okay, I need to take it slow, I need to be more mindful of my health and all of that. And I started to do that. And I also did something which I think is most important. I quit a very bad habit that I had, and that was smoking. And today I celebrate 1 week since I quit. I didn't put any cigarette in my mouth. And I have to tell you guys, it was not pretty. It's not easy to quit an addiction at all. But willpower alone actually did it. I never thought I could do it, but I really wanted to quit. So over the last week, I experienced all of the withdrawal signs. I was full of anxiety, depression, the whole shebang. But overall, I could cope with it because it was a psychological thing, and I'm usually good with controlling myself psychologically. I had my moments, but I don't think I was a complete monster. I just snapped a little bit on my boyfriend, but then I immediately apologized, and he's okay about it. I was not a monster. However, yesterday I think was the worst day so far, because yesterday I experienced what I never thought I would, and that's physical pain because of the withdrawal. It's a rarer side effect, but it happens. So yesterday in the first part of the day, more than half a day, my back started to hurt so bad. I do have issues with my back, but it never hurt so bad. And also all of my muscles kind of ached. You know when you're sick, you have the flu, and your muscles and the skin kind of hurts? That's what I was feeling. And I was super depressed. And like yesterday, I just cried it out and waited it out because there was pretty much nothing I could do. So I could not pull myself together to actually make a video yesterday. But at the same time, I'm well aware that that's what I get when I start a bad habit, right? I mean, I'm okay with enduring it. However, it did kind of affect me in a way I was not expecting it to. So sorry about skipping yesterday. But in the second part of the day, things actually got quite a lot better. So we were invited to this christening by a very good friend, and I was really anxious to go, like really anxious, because I know our friends are smokers and I don't know how I would react. At the same time, I didn't want to avoid them. I'm already like pretty non-social. I'm not keen on making new friends, but I don't want to become super antisocial and avoid the existing friends. So I wanted to go, but I was just scared. Turns out, yesterday night, it was absolutely fantastic. I saw them smoking, but I didn't crave it all. I didn't feel like I wanted to smoke. I was actually feeling okay. The depression was gone because I was out of the house. It was something new. The view was beautiful. The food was good. And to top it all off, they had white wine. Needless to say, after a couple of glasses, I was the happiest camper around. Don't get me wrong, I'm not replacing smoking with alcohol. That's a whole different addiction, but I rarely drink. I mean, I can go months without having alcohol. I only drink at social occasions, not at home. I don't feel the need to drink at home. I don't find it fun. But in particular social events, not all of them, a glass or two of wine, which is my favorite, kind of makes me less socially awkward than I already am. And it kind of makes my jokes funnier, or at least this is how I perceive them. So yesterday it was just that. I was feeling so good. So in the end it turned out to be quite an unexpectedly good night, and I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy I can tolerate smokers around me without going crazy. Last thing I want is to actually lose people or become antisocial. But yeah, if you've ever gone through something like that, or even if you don't know how it is to quit a certain drug, it's not pretty at all. It's actually pretty horrible, and I cannot explain what makes it so horrible. It's something related to your body, but if you've ever quit anything, wow, congratulations. I never thought it would be so hard, and I actually never thought I could do it. And I'm not usually proud of myself because it makes me cringe. I'm never proud of myself for doing something, but right now I feel like I want to allow myself to be proud of this achievement. Ooh, it still made me cringe. But yeah, it's something. It's hard, but it's absolutely the best decision ever. So yeah, fingers crossed that things will get easier from now on, but I think I do have a couple more weeks of hardship, but I can go through it. As long as the pains don't come back, I'm gonna be good. New Year's resolutions coming late. Better late than never, right?